Alright guys, let's talk about Ironheart. So not surprisingly, this movie came out and got a lot of shit, and I think the most important thing to remember, the lesson from this show, and really going forward is, you really have to make a difference between shows that are bad and shows that don't mean much for the MCU. Because I think a lot of times people say shows are bad, and what they really mean is this show just doesn't really mean anything for the MCU. And I think that's what we have here. Now, I do want to say that the ending, spoilers, I'm going right into spoilers, matters. We did get Mephisto in this show, Sacha Baron Cohen, and this continues a long trend of Marvel shows, a theme of Marvel shows, which kind of honestly has really good ideas, has really intriguing ideas, but kind of saves a lot of the good stuff for either the second to last episode or last episode, and kind of leaves us wanting more. I'll start with the good stuff first, and that is the Sacha Baron Cohen Mephisto stuff. I thought was very poignant, very kind of on the nose, almost a lot what actors supposedly deal with in Hollywood, getting offered secret deals where maybe they have to do some things that they wouldn't be too proud of in order to advance their career. And so I think having Sacha Baron Cohen kind of play this character was very interesting. I do think it's a little bit bizarre to have him show up in Ironheart. I'm not saying he has to be a big bad of the MCU, but I would have liked to see him maybe in a WandaVision show or a Doctor Strange movie. I do think, though, that they did cast him well, and he was a very intriguing character. Also, when discussing this show, I think you just have to take it to the context of, where this show is released, and really everything that goes along with that. This show is part of the old guard, Bob Chapek's Disney. Bob Chapek is the old CEO who honestly did a terrible job. He's the one who greenlit all of these shows for Disney Plus. He's the one who wanted to flood Disney Plus with content. And so essentially they're kind of stuck releasing the show at the worst possible time. They have momentum from Thunderbolts. They're about to get into F4. The last thing they need is a mediocre Disney Plus show to kind of just flood Twitter with bad negativity and start the whole MCU's woke MCU thing over and over and over again. And so really, that's why they decided to release 3 episodes last week, or 2 weeks ago, and then 3 last week, and kind of just bury the show. I think the back 3 episodes were stronger than the front 3, like I said, with Mephisto. I think Anthony Ramos, he was pretty good as, I guess, the villain of this show. He didn't have a lot to work with. I think Disney Plus shows, MCU shows, and kind of all of them, they do kind of have this feel to them, which I do like, where it's not, it's kind of a look or a feel to the show where it's not super serious and you can kind of hang out in the show, and they really all kind of have that same vibe. So I think that's kind of cool, although I do think Disney is still kind of trying to get its pace on what they want their kind of aesthetic to be. Even Netflix really hasn't kind of done this. HBO, I think, has gotten this down. Obviously, it changes show to show, but I think, HBO's aesthetic is obviously adult content, cursing, sexual scenes, violence, and all of that. I think even though, obviously superhero is the genre, I still think with these shows, Disney needs to find their kind of footing. I'm going to get into this in my next video in ways to fix the MCU, but in terms of the TV shows, I would not make any more Disney Plus shows unless they have huge implications on the MCU. You can't tell someone that they do, you just have to show them. For example, obviously Daredevil, that makes the cut, but something like She-Hulk, something like Echo, something like this, doesn't make the cut. I know those all are female-led shows, but it really just has more to do with the level of the character. You can even make the same argument for Moon Knight. You can make the same argument for Hawkeye. So it really just depends on the level of character, but I would dramatically slow down. Overall, I think Disney just hasn't really given this actress or this character much of a chance. Showing up in Black Panther 2, which wasn't a great movie, then having a show which is kind of up and down, and on top of it being up and down, is coming out at the worst possible time where we have Superman and Fantastic Four and all these other stuff coming out. So really, really just not a good time for this character. This character needed to be released more at a time when the MCU was having some momentum. Instead, it's being released at a time where it's really at a disadvantage. with all that being said, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know if it's something I'm going to rewatch. I enjoyed the Sacha Baron Cohen Mephisto scenes. I'd like to see him back in the MCU. So, in terms of just casting him as Mephisto and getting him into the MCU, I think that makes it, a W. I think Ironheart will have a role either in the Young Avengers or maybe in the mainline MCU. We'll see. Overall, I think everything about this is total overreaction. Like I said, I don't think anyone should or will subscribe to Disney Plus just for the show, but I'm a completionist. I like watching everything, and so now I can say I still have continued to watch the entire MCU and can form a valid opinion on it. So thanks, guys, for watching. That's my opinion on Ironheart, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.